we're actually known as one of the most atheistic countries in the whole world. And so you have this opportunity, use it, to get to know Jesus and repent from your sin and just accept him as your own savior. It just totally transformed me.
Hansa Halik. So Hansa is a GBC missionary partner for years now, working in Czech Republic. And so I just wanted to, just find out more about you, hear your story a little bit. So let's start. You're not born in America, right?
No.
A lot of our missionaries might be born in America.
Yeah,
Tell us a little
Czech
bit about
Republic.
where you're from.
That's questionable. People don't even know what Czech Republic is.
Yeah, where's the Czech Republic, I guess?
Yeah, Central Asia. Yeah.
Central
Just
Asia?
kidding. No. Central Europe.
Central Europe.
Yeah. Czech Republic is right in the heart of Europe. That's where I was born, in city Brno. I grew up over there and just spoke Czech since childhood. We don't speak English,
No English. When did you learn English?
Yeah, at school. We have to start quite early at elementary school and high school, and you have to graduate with that language.
Pretty much everyone graduates knowing English. Or no?
Yes, nowadays, yeah. Before we had even some more options like German, Russian, French, but now pretty much almost everybody speaks English.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about your childhood. What was your family like? What was kind of that dynamic? How many siblings?
Yeah, we were a big family, 6 siblings.
Nice.
I was right the second, and we had a lot of fun. It's very interesting. We grew up in a city. In such a small apartment, just 2 rooms, kitchen and hallway. And it's just big family. I never realized that it was just so small, even though, it was. But that's how I grew up in the Czech. And one of the interesting things from my childhood is that I grew up in a Russian Orthodox family. My father is a Russian Orthodox priest. And so he was very traditional in the way how you took your faith. I had to go to the church on Sunday and kiss all of the pictures and just light the candle. It just was very traditional. So that's how I grew up with my parents. They would take us to church, and I just took it the way how it was as a child.
Mm-hmm. So you 6 siblings. Where are you at in that?
So I'm second.
Second?
Yes.
Okay. What's the youngest sibling? How old are they? Or how much younger are they?
Yeah, well, they are 14 years younger than me.
14 years, wow.
Yes. So there was 18-year gap between my oldest and youngest. Mm-hmm. So, quite a big gap. Yeah. I was raising my youngest sister, basically, putting her to sleep. I remember that.
Wow. And then, so you guys were all in one room. You had 2-bedroom.
Yeah, we had these bunk beds. And I would sleep up, somebody down, and you can't imagine. We were all led in music, so I played trumpet. My sister, she played violin, and so that was kind of funny because we would have to practice, and sometimes somebody was practicing while somebody went to already sleep.
Oh,
so
nice.
I had big headphones, when my sister needed to still practice, and I went to sleep, and I was like, "Can you please be quiet?"
Nice. So were your parents into music then? Is that kind of what?
Not really, but they just wanted us to do music. Okay. I guess they couldn't in their life, so they were like, "Hey, our kids have to do it now."
Okay.
And that's what I was very passionate about. I really loved music. I studied trumpet, and then later on I went to singing and opera singing. And I actually went to college, a music college, where I got a degree, and I thought, hey, this is going to be my job. This is what I love. This is where I will make my career.
Nice. We'll get to more music maybe in a second. So in your childhood, what was your kind of view of? You said you had to, kiss the pictures and Russian Orthodox priest as a father. What was your kind of perception of church and God?
Well, I started soon realizing when I went to school that it's not everyone having this the same, like having father, a priest, it was very rare in the Czech Republic. Everybody is atheist over there. We're actually known as one of the most atheistic countries in the whole world. And so soon enough, when I went to school and when I said, oh, I believe in God, that was weird. My friends, they were making fun of me. And so I didn't want to talk about faith at all. I was so ashamed for it. And soon I just realized, man, like, why would I believe even in God? Because nobody believes in God. And also it was so empty. I would have to go to church and just, obey my dad just so that I could make it to heaven and not to hell. And I just had to do these things. And I didn't enjoy it at all. I just felt like I was missing a lot that my friends could. That's just how it was.
So then how did you end up coming to know the Lord?
So that is very interesting because, Word of Life at that time, that's what influenced my life. And now I'm the director of Word of Life ministry in the Czech Republic. But that's where I actually started. That ministry was already there for a couple of years, and they had a wonderful camp where they started doing camps ministry. And so we as kids got invitations. My brother actually went there for camp summer before me. And I was so jealous because he could go and I couldn't because I was still young. And so I was so looking forward next year to go finally. And so I went to the camp. I knew it was Christian, but I was happy to get out of home and have fun like my brother did. But it was so different because over there I got my counselor and he took my suitcase. And I remember as we were walking to the cabin, we had one of the cabins up on the hill. And on the way, he's asking me, just what's my name and this and that. And then one question, immediately, like when we met in a couple of minutes, he's like, did you accept Jesus into your heart? And I looked at him, I was like, hey, Roman, what do you mean? Like, Jesus in your heart? I don't know what that is. And so I said, I guess so. But since that point, I started realizing this is different. Like, he's young. How is it that he's passionate about believing in God? I don't know people that are young that would love God. They're ashamed for God. They're ashamed for this faith. And so that whole week that I was at the camp, I started realizing, man, that it is possible that God is alive. I can have a relationship with him. And so the last day of the camp, there was an invitation to get to know Jesus and repent from your sin and just accept him as your own Savior. And so that's what I did. And it just changed my life. That was the best decision of my life. It just totally transformed me.
So your brother who had went before, was he impacted by the gospel at all, or was it more of a fun camp for him?
He was impacted, definitely. Okay. Then we started going to church together. Later on, he actually stopped going, and I kept going. But it definitely was impactful. Camp is something that is just such a great tool in the Czech Republic. It's cultural. Parents usually send kids to some camp, and so when you use it as a Christian organization, something like that, and you do a good job, then people that are atheists, totally different religions, they're interested to send their kids to your camp. And then you have an opportunity to share about Christ. It is such a unique circumstances because as a child or teenager, you're there for 1 week. You don't go home every day. So you can kind of start processing the things that you heard and the lies about Christians and about the Bible that you were taught at school, and then started thinking about it. Now I do camps and I share the gospel with the kids. Usually the first meetings, they're like so close, and you see how they're like looking at you in a way like they're angry, they don't want to listen to you. Like, what are you talking about? God, like God is something for old people, God is just for weak. But over there we're saying that God is the best thing that we've got. He's our creator, he's our friend, and he's our father. And then they see in our emotions, in the way how we say it, that we really believe it. And so that's transforming. And then it leads you in a couple days into thinking, wow, they're really serious. They're not just joking. So what do I do with this? Do I want to accept it as well as they are giving me this offer, or do I want to reject it? And so that's just so good, because then they can make that decision on their own. They don't have to depend on the decision of their parents or anybody else, from teachers, friends, but they're there and they can decide. And so many of them, that's all they got, just one opportunity in their life, and there they can make that decision.
So after you made that decision, you go back home, you've got siblings and parents who no clue what just happened to Hansa. What's that like? How old were you again?
I was 12.
12. So what was that like going back home after that?
You know, as I'm thinking about it, I now serve kids that are 12 years old, and I'm like, man, I was just 12. And I was really deeply thinking about it. And so many times we underestimate the kids that are 12 years old, and we're like, oh man, he cannot really understand. He cannot take faith seriously. I took it seriously. I knew that Jesus was my Lord from that day. I didn't know Bible. I didn't know how Christians should behave. So I did a lot of stupid stuff. But I knew that my life is changed, and I need to live for Jesus. And so as I was reading Bible, as I was just getting to know Him, I was trying. It's funny, you're asking about how it was with my parents. At the beginning, they actually took it really well, because I finally started being a nice boy at home. But there were some moments that, I would read from the Bible, just that when you pray, go to your room and pray by yourself. So one day I just read it, and I told my dad, hey, Dad, I'm not going to pray with you ever again. I'm going to pray just in my room. So you guys can pray together as a family, but me, Bible says, I'll pray in my room. And so my dad didn't take it well. He was so upset. Told me, you son, you go pray with us now. We had these gathering prayers. Yeah, so that was interesting.
Where did that come from? Praying in your room. When you pray, go in your room. Where did that come from?
Well, it's in the Bible now.
Just you reading it.
Yes.
You reading in the Bible, that made you. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of things that I was confused about, because like you read, and like I didn't know Bible. I read something in the Old Testament. I thought, okay, it's for now.
Yeah.
And but it's just nice to have people around me that loved and cared for me. Even some missionaries that were Word of Life, they meant so much for me. I had hard times to relate to people from church, because they would often judge me for growing up in a Russian Orthodox home. They couldn't really understand the confusion that I had, just believing in the saints, and that you can just pray to them, and then about Mary, and especially the Lord's Supper. That is something that many times Protestants and evangelicals just underestimate, how difficult it is for Catholics and Orthodox to actually stop believing in that. I was taught at my home that if I even doubt that, that's not transforming into real body and blood of Jesus. If I even have a doubt in my head that I'm going to hell, that is like a mortal sin. So like, just even doubting things, it just was very controlling. So it took me a long time, and I had hard times to trust others. So I was praying to God, just please help me and lead me. But what was interesting is that God actually always was helping me and was with me alongside. My life was changed. When I came to know Christ, I would carry my big Bible to the school, and I just wanted to share with all of my friends, and then they stopped being my friends. I was just very popular kid. I was the best. But then I was the freak that everybody was making fun of. But it was fine, because I had a best friend, and his name was Jesus. Wow. And I was all about sharing with them about Him. It was the best. I had the peace. I had the relationship with Christ. It was so amazing to see some of my classmates then actually coming to know Christ, and just seeing their walk, and how I could pray with them, and just it's how God could use me.
And you were proud. So were you the only Christian your friends would have known, I would assume, or no?
Often that was the case. When I started studying at the music college, there was just maybe a couple people that I could talk about God. but they had mixed like me, for example, from Catholic home, and they didn't really know what it was to have relationship. And so it just took a long time to talk, hey, how you can really get to know Jesus and his grace instead of working toward making it to heaven one day.
Mm-hmm. So you go to camp at 12. How many times did you go back to camp through high school?
Through high school.
Yeah, was it
I
every
didn't
year?
skip any summer. So I would go all the time.
Nice.
Up until now. I never skipped actually, and that's what it was.
Wow. So that's quite a few. So you would have the same counselors usually, or same people you're connecting with when you go back to camp a lot of time, or no?
It would always switch.
Yeah.
Counselors, they come maybe from 1 or 2 years and then they get a job, and so they're volunteering at our camp. Yeah, I remember the first one because it's just so strong, that moment. I remember those things that he asked me and how God used him. Mm-hmm. But then soon after, I started helping as well. I would not come anymore as a camper. I would come as helper and then as a counselor as well. I remember my first campers that came to know Christ. I still have a relationship with one of them. It's just so, he's actually serving with us. Now he's going to the trip to Turkey for a mission trip.
Oh, nice.
He was my first camper.
Wow. Wow. So how old were you when you started?
I think I was 17 years old when I was counseling for the first time.
Okay. So music school, was that during high school, like those years? When did you go to music school? So
in Czech, it's connected.
Okay.
You can have a high school that has specific focus in music, but it's longer, so it's almost like a college here.
Okay.
You basically study until you're 21, 22.
So when did you start then?
I started when I was 16.
Okay.
That's when I went to music college.
Okay. And when you were at college, you were traveling kind of professionally, right? What kind of music were you doing?
Yeah, I started having a lot of opportunities, and I actually studied 2 subjects, which is rare. I studied trumpet, which that's what I thought. Okay, I love it. I'm good at it, and it was good, but I was not the best. But then I went to study opera singing as well, which I did before I sang, but I didn't think that I was good. But then as I started studying, I went to different competitions. I became very good. And then I started having a lot of opportunities to sing as a soloist. So yeah, that's what I was doing. I went to Japan even a couple times with Philharmony, and so just exciting times when I could use music and as work.
So soloist, was that how, like, that's out of school? They started to realize you had, I know you probably don't love talking about this, but they started to realize you had talent, and then you ended up getting paid to travel around to sing?
Yeah.
Is it the school people who picked you out to be?
Well, you have your teachers and professors that know and that are, for example, in that orchestra or somewhere.
Okay.
And then once you get through different competitions, people see you. And so then they call you and they say, hey, would you sing this? Would you play over there? That's funny. Actually, sometimes I played with the orchestra, and then next month I would sing as a soloist with that orchestra. So they would make fun of me, I would sing over there in front, and I would just wave at the trumpet player, say, hi guys, I'm up here now. And then next month I'm gonna be over there with you again. Yeah, but yeah, I could make some money, but I don't think I was doing it much for money. I just really loved music, and I could see that I'm gifted in this, and in a way, when I'm looking back, it was like my idol. I loved it so much. I gave so much time to it. You have to give a lot time and devotion to that in order to be good as well. But then when I was leaving it, it was so hard for me, because I was realizing that the Lord is calling me to ministry, and I was fighting it.
So how did that work? The Lord calling you into ministry. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, and in the middle of college, we have graduation after the 4th year, And I was thinking whether to continue or what to do. There came some opportunities that people gave me, to go to Bible Institute, but I could never imagine that. I was thinking this is far. It actually wasn't in Czech Republic; it was in Hungary, and so I was considering it. But then, as I was praying, I didn't see that this would be for me. It was also so expensive. We don't pay for colleges and universities in the Czech because it's paid through taxes. But over there, I would have to, and my parents would never give any money to it. It was kind of impossible. But that actually became possible just a couple of weeks before just finishing my graduation. Suddenly things started taking place, and the Lord was opening these doors. And one thing happened, that I was praying each day, every day for years, Lord, lead me where you want me to be. And suddenly I could see how so many things happening in leading me out of music and going to Bible Institute. And I just couldn't but say, yes, Lord. And so I did that step. And so as you're asking, where did that change happen? When I was at the Bible Institute, I had a lot of time when I could think about it, what I want with my life. I had a lot of time to look into Bible and read through it, and just a lot of things that I was confused about with the belief, Orthodox, and just the traditions. I could suddenly start seeing through, and it was something else, looking into it through your own eyes and really taking time. It just was so impactful. And then I just really leaned on God's grace, and all of these things started making sense. But it's different than hearing it from the pulpit, rather than just studying it yourself in calmness, and other people that just help you understand. So after a couple months, I actually went back home for Christmas, and I was so full of it that I just wanted to share it with my parents and my father. So I was waiting for a good moment, and one day I said, Father, I just can't be any more Orthodox. I just see it different. I see in the Bible how Jesus is so gracious, and you don't have to work in order to make it to heaven. Like, Jesus is offering freely. I mean, I could say maybe just one sentence or two, but my father immediately stopped me and said, yeah, you betrayed, you got confused, and this cult, and just, I told you, son, you were not supposed to do that. And that was hard. I knew that I was about to lose everything. It just was so connected, and my family it was all about that Russian Orthodox faith, nothing else. And so soon, a couple days after, my dad kicked me out from home, and I was basically disowned on my own. But I could see how the Lord was taking care of me even in those moments, and just I didn't give up. I was following God, and I felt like the Lord was walking with me even though these things were difficult. And then I continued in the Bible Institute, and just those things were slowly being processed in my mind. And one of the things that started happening very deeply in my heart was growing compassion for the lost people in Czech Republic. It was just breaking my heart. I was realizing how so many people are lost or live in lie, including my family. And I just was so burdened to reach them and share with them about Christ. When you hear these passages, like how can they hear if nobody's there to tell them? And so I just wanted to make sure that I'm there. I can be the one, maybe that will share with them about Christ. And so I gave up. I gave up music. I gave up these things. I thought, man, I just want to be there and share about them with Christ. And so I chose to actually go with Word of Life. That's where my life was changed. I felt like I know how to work with youth. I love it, and I can be part of this organization, and maybe do something else that somebody else did for me, and be part of their lives and share about Jesus.
Yeah. So tell us the story of that transition period when you mentioned your dad kicked you out of the house after sharing that you were now Christian, and yeah, tell us that transition.
Yeah. So one day I didn't go to church with my father, and so this got him very, very upset. And so when I got back home, he was asking me, "Hey, where did you go? And what did you do?" And I just remember as I sat down at the table to eat lunch, he hit the table and he just fell down in my pants, and then he's just started screaming, "That's enough! Get out of here! Get out of my house!" And so I just went to the door, and he was about to just really kick me out with nothing. At that time, my mom just came there and just started calming down my dad, and somehow it didn't happen at that time. And I went into my room, and I was just waiting that it's going to be any minute that my father's going to come back and just really take me and just say, "Just go." And it actually didn't happen that day. But next day, as I was getting ready to actually leave home and go for a concert, or just, I was going somewhere. He actually went to the door and he said, "You're not leaving anywhere." And so he switched his focus, and he's like, "Now you're totally under control." And I couldn't leave unless I would have to use my physical hands and just fight my dad, which I didn't feel like this would be right. I wanted to be respectful as well. But then in the afternoon, I actually had to go for a concert that I had, and I asked my dad and my mom. I said, like, "Hey, I just really need to go to a concert. Can I go?" And at that time, my father actually let me, and I very secretly, as I said, like in a very small house, 6 siblings, everybody's watching me. It was big, and so I put in my trumpet case just a few things. And I left for a concert, and after concert, I never came back. I knew that if I come back, it's not gonna go well. It will just repeat, and I'll not be able to go back to Bible Institute. I'll have to really surrender to what my father wants me to believe. That was it. And so this is how I left my home.
So you just put some clothes and toothbrush in, and then you went to...
No toothbrush. I think maybe one socks I put in the trumpet, It's just...
You went to the concert and the trumpet was plugged in the sock.
I don't know, but it was just very few things. And, it's so funny. It was night, after the concert was done, and I didn't know what to do. At that time, one of my friends, a missionary at Word of Life, he actually offered me to go to Word of Life and stay there, but nobody was there. It was actually Christmas Day, I think, 26th of December. I think everybody's back at their homes, their families, and so nobody was at the camp. But I forgot to give the key from the camp back to the missionaries. I somehow, for the first time, just took the key, and I had it, so I could actually go there and spend the night there. And spent a couple of days, and then I went back to Bible Institute, and I could see ever since from then how the Lord was really taking care of me, providing for me, and helping me even go through this. And then later on, I forgave my parents. It was hard. I hated them. I hated what my father did. But I realized this is not the way to live my life. Jesus would not do that. He forgave everyone, even those that would crucify him. So I just want to love my parents and just show them on Christ as much as I only can.
So you had the keys to the Word of Life camp, went there, then to the Bible Institute. Now you're back at the Word of Life camp.
Mm-hmm.
You've forgiven your parents. Such an awesome story. When did you start getting plugged into the camp you're at that you also became a Christian at? What did that look like, getting plugged into Word of Life? And then kind of a brief transition from getting plugged into Word of Life to now where you're at and you're as a field director now.
Yeah, I remember at the second year of the Bible college where I was, I asked the leader at that time in Word of Life Czech Republic if I could join the team. And he was very happy. He said, yes, for sure. So then right after summer camps where I was helping, I joined the team. And I was just involved in anything, in the operation maintenance, and then helping in local churches with youth. Especially, I was involved in training youth leaders and helping them how to really effectively serve the youth. That was my start.
And then, so now as a field director, I got to see it firsthand. It was awesome how you serve your team and invest in them with a team of, you've got American missionaries from all over on your team with different cultures and backgrounds. You've got people at different points in their walk with the Lord, with, volunteers who are maybe newer believers that came to the camp and all that. When you're managing that team, what's kind of your vision, or how do you prioritize that and kind of help the team mesh?
Yeah, it sometimes is a mess. It's difficult, when we're from different cultures and even different personalities, different age, and then you are doing ministry together. But at the same time, is the beauty that we're different and we can put together a team and for God's glory reach this world. And so that's what I'm a supporter of. I don't mind if you are from America, if you're from Czech, or we have people on our team that are refugees from Myanmar, from it used to be called Burma. And so Asian, American, like European, we're very different. But then at the same time, what unites us is the vision. And the vision is, let's reach as many Czechs as we can and share with them about Christ. And so even though we have these differences, this is what connects us. And so we have to communicate a lot and explain things, hey, this is where we're headed. This is what we would like in 1 or 2 years. How can we reach more people? How can we really multiply ourselves in reaching this country? And how can we partner with churches and other organizations in the same goal in that country? Because really there's only few Christians there. There's few Christian organizations and few churches. And so it's much better to just hold hands together, even though we're different, and share Christ with that lost nation.
So at your camp, you kind of have, I remember hearing, about a 50-50-ish split between kids who are coming to the camp who are not Christian and kids who are Christian. What kind of gets the kids who aren't Christian to the camp?
Yeah, so we have a lot of strategic ways how we promote. One of the things that I would say is the most effective when we go to local schools, local public schools, and we promote our camp. Our camp is promoted as an English camp, which English is something that everybody is learning, and so parents are very supportive of that. That's how their kids can have a better job, better career. So if they go to a camp where there's Americans or Canadians or somebody that their English is good, then the kids can really learn it from them well. So this is kind of like the way how we just attract them to come to camp, and how they actually let us to go to schools. When we have like 1 hour with the students, we have a fun program prepared, and then at the end, we show them a video of our camp, and we give them a flyer and say, hey, come this summer. So many of them come because of that. And then friends, they invite their other friends. And so really, half of the camp is full of unbelievers. And it's not reaching out just to campers, but the whole families then. When just one camper comes, it can transform the whole family.
And then how is the gospel a part of the camp? Because you have these unbelievers, you get them in there because you do all these fun things, and I got to see it. It was awesome. Sometimes we say the gospel is a part of something, and it's not always super explicit. How do you guys? What's your strategy in sharing the gospel during the week?
Yeah, so we try to be very focused on it. Like the way how we do it, we need not to forget the foundational, that this is where we're standing it on. It's not on all of these extra extreme and crazy exciting program and games. That's all good. But the reason why we do that is because of the gospel. So we have a motto that we say, and that's every camper, next step with Jesus. We want really that every camper will have that opportunity to make next step. But for every camper, it's different, you know. Someone already might know Jesus, and so we want to help him to get to know Jesus more. Someone maybe never heard, and is just maybe thinking about the existence of God. And after the camp, he made that step of thinking, well, maybe I will believe in some creator. And so just we want to help them. We do it through meetings. We have Bible sessions every morning and every night where there is a speaker that speaks. But then I think that the most effective is that every camper has their counselor. Counselor has up to 6 kids, and they are pouring into them individually in their lives, seeing where they are at, like how they can help them, what they're struggling with, in what they can bring them hope, and how they can really effectively explain them who Jesus is and how Jesus can change their lives.
Yeah, that was an awesome thing I noticed when we were there was the first night you talked and you shared your story and you shared the simple gospel and that we're talking about Jesus here. And I thought that was so cool. It's not like you weren't worried about transitioning the kids who might not be believers into, you know, making sure they feel comfortable with games and stuff. Obviously, you did a great job with all the games and everything, but you're so clear that this is the gospel and this is what we want to share with you guys. And then also your intentionality to pour into those counselors and pour into the people who are pouring into those counselors. And yeah, your leadership in that way was really cool to be able to see just a tiny bit of when we were over there visiting you.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I guess one last question here. With your vision of reaching students, you've got the camp that you guys really focus on. We've talked a good amount about that. What's kind of your broader vision for just reaching those families through the kids or plugging them into their churches or things like that? What's kind of your vision for that?
So we have a lot of visions.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, our goal is to reach the young generation. And so, yeah, we do it in all means, like you said. Camp is one of them, and that's one of the things that is kind of our, you know, the center around what we just really do things. And it's one thing that we do really well. There's not many camps in Czech Republic like ours. Like actually, in a Christian campus, I think that we're the only one that has their own campground. It's rare, you know, when I think of the context here. There's campground here, campground there. It's the only one in the Czech Republic in this way. And so we really want to take advantage of that and help to really do a good job, and then use that into then the whole year of how we serve effectively to others. And so one thing that right now currently is our vision is to develop an amazing program of making other disciple makers. And so that's what we do with the volunteers and counselors that come to us. We want really proactively throughout the year focus on them and helping them to be disciple makers, not us, but walking with them, coaching them, encouraging them, giving them the tools, how they can really walk with those maybe campers or people that they bring to faith or someone else that it's just their friend, how they can share Christ with them, and after they get to know Christ, how can they even get to know him better and walk with him. So it's some kind of mentorship, coaching, and I think that can change everything. You know, like it's just what that young generation that can transform the whole country. I really believe I really believe that can change in 10, 20 years. We can be a totally different country. It happened in the past. In the Czech Republic, we were not the most atheist country. We were actually one of the most Christian countries. Reformation in the Czech Republic started much earlier than in Germany with Martin Luther, 100 years before. Our country was Christian. We were sending missionaries everywhere. But then throughout all the things and communism, it shut down. But I believe that revival can come. And, I see that revival in every person that I work with individually. It's not about crowds. It's about focusing on this person, that girl, that boy, that Pavel, that Anushka, that just focusing on them and saying, you know what? Walk with Christ and share about Christ with your friends, with this world. Be the light. Be what Jesus wants us to be. Use your life in the way that makes sense. Not everybody has to be missionary, but you have to be mission-minded wherever you are. Be the light wherever you are. God has put you there because of a reason. So if you are a student somewhere, you have an opportunity like nobody has. I cannot go to school like you can. You can share Christ. They will not close your mouth. If I, as a missionary, go there, they will close my mouth. I can't. They will kick me out. And it's the same thing if somebody is at work. You are at work. You have your colleagues that you can pour into them. And so you have this opportunity. Use it.
Awesome. And one last, with that, with your vision, that's super, I think, challenging for us to know we have an opportunity right here, wherever we're at in our context, us here in Ann Arbor, you in Czech. We also want to be a part of what you're doing in Czech and be partners with you in different places where the gospel's going out in the world. I do want to highlight one thing I remember you talking about with your strategy is you're looking for following up with these campers. You want to, yes, disciple these people, focus in on discipling these kids, and also your campers who may be going back to places that don't even have a church.
Yeah.
So you get your one time at camp, and then you go back and there's no Christians around them. So I remember, what are you kind of hoping for in your ministry for that aspect of follow-up?
So in this way, we strategically connect with churches. We partner with local churches as much as is only possible. The issue that can come up too is that the churches are not ready for it. They're just very traditional or like not really accepting the young people. They just are afraid of them. Mm-hmm. It's just full of older people that just are afraid what this young person can do. He's crazy about Jesus. Now he's going to change everything. Even the music, the worship is done different. And just so we try to really help churches and like already from before the camp even starts, we are having partnerships with local pastors, and say, hey, this is the camp we do. Can we cooperate in the best way, partner how it's possible? So they help us send actually their volunteers, their leaders, they're serving as counselors at our camp. And so we're putting purposefully those campers there from their town, their city, so that then these counselors, when they come back, they actually can be really meeting with these campers and, just walking with them these first steps of Christian life. And so that they can then be really connected with that church. Because, we're all about church. With our Word of Life, the world can exist. It's no problem, right? Church is here for 2,000 years. Word of Life just 80 years. And it still worked without, right? Mm-hmm. Christ established church. We really strongly believe in that. And so we partner with churches as much as is possible because that's what these young people need. They need to be plugged in the local churches over there and then serve. What is wonderful is to see that since I've been there serving over than 10 years, I've seen kids that came to know Christ and serve with us, and now they're elders in local churches.
Wow.
It's awesome. And just, we're friends, and I see how God is using them. It's transformational, and that's what I say. It's transforming the country. They are mission-minded elders or pastors, and they want everybody to hear. And they just want this multiplication happen also at their church, something that they've seen at the camp. They just want to see it wherever they are. And we're all about helping them, encouraging them, and equipping them as much as we can.
Wow, that's so awesome. That would be such a huge win here for us to be able to say something like that, to raise up young people to be elders in a church. Thinking about your context too, I think it's hard for us to wrap our heads around how massive that is because some of their communities may not have other churches. Like, they might be the church. I remember you showing us the map of like, yeah, we've got this area up here that some campers come from, but there's 0 churches to plug them into.
Yeah.
And so thinking about discipleship and how impactful that is, and multiplication, how impactful that is here or wherever we're at. But it's, yeah, especially exciting to hear about your guys' work, or the Lord's work through you guys,
Yeah.
in
all
raising
about
up
God.
disciples in a place where there is so much less access to the gospel because of the prominence of atheism. And so, yeah, thank you so much for chatting with us. Good to hear some of these things. I feel like I could talk forever with you.
Yeah,
We've
yeah,
only
me
got
too.
a
Well,
little
thank
bit of
you.
time,
Thank
but
you
yeah.
for letting me come and talk about this. It's special. And as I said, it's all about God. It's not about me. It's not about us. And that's what we, shake hands. We work together, even though we're in different country. It's all about God. We're reaching this world. We're being obedient to what Jesus told us, right?